Multifamily Mindset
podcast. Think bigger.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode here on the MFM podcast with me, Dallas Pruitt. For those that are new, I am the resident consultant and mindset coach here at the Multifamily Mindset. I'm also the founder of Live Life Mission, and today I wanted to share a little bit about what I call the dip. The dip is something that is unavoidable. It's that downward curve, that trench, that pit that we find ourselves in, that low point, that moment when things have been going amazing and now all of a sudden they start to become challenging. The dip is a setback. The dip is adversity. The dip is hard. And it's somewhere that I've spent time, not just like once, but many times throughout the course of my journey, throughout the course of my experience in entrepreneurship, throughout the course of my experience in fatherhood, throughout the course of my experience as a husband, and life as a whole. The truth is this: growth never really looks like a trajectory straight up and to the right corner the second you start to figure things out. Look, growth is something that looks pretty wonky for a lot of us, right? It's a series of ups and downs and ups and downs and ups and downs, because that's life. You can't predict the future. You can't predict or prepare for everything that has yet to transpire. Again, like I said, it's something that I have experienced multiple times in my life, recently even. So what do you do in the dip? How do you weather the storm? How do you navigate it? It's a great question, and it's a question that I wanted to pose to everybody today, and it's actually something that I want to give you 3 things to focus on if you are, one, either in a dip, headed to a dip right now, or just give you better preparation for the next time one of these dips happens. These are, again, today's episode, these are 3 things that I've not only learned through this most recent dip that I experienced, but all the dips that I've experienced in my life. And like I said, I want to reiterate, I have had and experienced multiple dips. You will too. That is life. So here are 3 things to be aware of and prepare for before your next dip. Or if you are in one, these are 3 things to look at, focus on, and give attention to. Number 1 on today's podcast is this: the people around you will either lift you up or pull you down. Each dip that I have experienced has been very different in many ways, but in many ways they have also been very similar. Those who truly love me saw my struggles before I could even really tell them. I'm a pretty private person, and I have a tendency to put a face on even when I'm struggling. And I do this. It's a habit of mine to keep my struggles private, to not communicate, to not even processing it right now seems odd sometimes, right? Like to not show weakness. This is a habit of mine when I am struggling, is keeping it very private. And that is a problem. And it served as a really big problem this last dip that I went through. Because this last dip, I don't know if it's, I'm 37 years old and I've had more life experiences that have compounded. Life is a little more complex than what it used to be. I have 4 children that I care for and am raising. My wife and I have been through many different, some traumatic experiences that have compounded that maybe we repressed and didn't address. I'm not exactly sure, even in this moment as I'm speaking this all out loud to you. But what I am trying to say is that this last dip was harder than most of the other dips that I had experienced. And just like all of those other dips, only this time it was even more impactful, I am so grateful that I had people around me who truly know me, that love me and believe in me. These people were and are lifesavers. They are the real ones. They're true angels. And you can call them whatever you want, but they are the ones who were there to pick me up at my low point, at what really felt almost like my lowest point. And they were there to speak possibility into me, to speak belief into me, to spend time in the trench with me, to come down the ladder and sit in all of the grief and all of the struggle and all of the pain and all of the anger, not to coddle me, but to love me and help me see things that I myself could not see at that particular time. This is one of the most important things that I think I can share on today's podcast regarding the dip and things to look for, prepare for, and be aware of the next time you find yourself in a dip. And if you are in a dip right now, again, being very conscious that the people around you will either lift you or they will pull you down. So please put emphasis and be conscious of those you are surrounding yourself with. It is so crucial. Number two is this: consistent and purposeful rituals and routines helped me to elevate myself even on days when I felt like that was dang near impossible. There are a set of specific rituals and routines that kept me treading water when I felt like the ocean of struggle was just like all-encompassing. Bright spots in dark times. That's what I think of when I think of sacred rituals and routines. Clarity was birthed out of these sacred times during my day. Calm was birthed. New direction, new insight, new perspective, new understanding, new learning. All of these things were birthed in those sacred times that I had set for myself to go into a specific set of actions on purpose with purpose. I'm talking specifically about walking, going for walks, something as simple as going for walks on a consistent daily basis, spending time in stillness. I'm not talking going for walks to listen to podcasts and jam out to music and numb out. I'm talking about going on walks to spend time with myself, with my God, and literally just be. Making time for a purposeful and open two-way conversation with my higher power as well as myself to confront the realness, to confront the real things that were happening, and help myself weed out some of the negative, limiting, false stories I had been telling myself about my situation during that difficult time. Being willing to, like I said, this is something I'm still learning to do, but being willing to feel my emotions and not suppress them, to be able to process. It's all a part of the process. It's all necessary to become our best. It's all necessary to be able to grow and fulfill our potential and become the best versions of ourselves. Creating times in my day that I considered sacred to be able to deliver consistently on the types of actions that would help me center myself back on what truly matters, back to the truth, help me regain my power, my calm, direction, clarity, confidence. Rituals and routines, these things were game changers. And like I said, one of the most simple, most powerful was getting up, going for a walk every single day, no distraction, no phone, no music, no podcast, spending time in stillness in the early morning, in the later evening, and being able to just sift through all the emotions, all the garbage, and get back to Dallas, get back to what really matters, get back to the plan, get back to God's will for me, get back to the priorities, and gain understanding of everything that had been transpiring around me, all the setbacks, all the challenges, all the adversity. Crucial, so crucial. If you are in a dip right now, if you aren't in a dip right now, it doesn't even matter. Creating a consistent ritual around these types of daily actions is extremely impactful for your personal life and is extremely impactful for your business. Number 3 is this. The more you fight change, this is the last one, by the way. If we had more time on these podcasts, I'd go further, but we'll end with 3 today. So number 3 is this. The more you fight change, the more frustrated you will become. Ignoring reality in all of the dips that I've experienced never helped me in any of those situations. Whether it was the transition from my freshman year of college to my church mission at 20 years old, trying to get my life back on track, getting back to the grind, if you will, on what really matters and closing the door on the unessential. That was a hard transition. Or the gap between my second child and my third. We had some complications with my second child. My son, he had a hole in his heart, lungs. There was a lot of things. He had to be life flighted. We were on oxygen when he came home. NICU. Man, like that transition from like the trauma that we experienced there to finally making the decision to have a third child, that was a tough dip. And whether it was one of those two or any of the other dips I've experienced, like this last dip that I experienced in this growing stage of my business and journey as an entrepreneur, the harder I tried to fight inevitable facts, changes that had happened, and the harder I tried to fight inevitable changes that I knew I needed to make in accordance with the new data that had been presented, the more unhappy I became, the more I struggled. These dips have all taught me the importance of flexibility in life. It's such an important skill, the ability to adapt when challenges show up, the ability to be flexible with your approach, but not your goal. The ability to be flexible with your approach, but not your goal. Change is really hard for all of us as human beings, but if we want to become better and spend less time being bitter and prolonging really awesome, authentic growth, we have to learn to surrender to those changes that have happened in ourselves, in the markets, in others. And we have to be willing to surrender to the reality and let things go so that you can, I don't mean to get too cliche, but like bloom again. Things change. Markets change. You change. Life is change. It's a constant. It is the number one constant thing that I have found through my short lifespan. I'm almost 40. I'm not going to say it that way. I'm 37. That sounds too weird. I've learned to be open to new paths, to new things, to new developments, to new ideas, to new opportunities, to learning, to life, and how it's evolving around me. A fixed approach is just like a fixed mindset. A fixed process is just like a fixed mindset. It will get you into a whole lot of trouble, and it will limit you, your capacity for growth. It will limit your potential and the impact you can have in this world, in your home, in your business. Like, I hope there's something of high value that you were able to extract from today's episode. These 3 things are things that I have found to be constants throughout all of those dips that I've experienced in my life. And I share these things because I know that if you're experiencing a dip, if you're not experiencing a dip, Either way, you are going to experience more dips in your journey. It's part of the process, especially if you are someone who like me, has decided that you don't want to live just an ordinary life. You want to live an extraordinary life. You want to achieve your potential. You want to stretch yourself. You want to experience growth. You're throwing yourself into that on purpose with purpose. If that is you, which most of you who listen to this podcast are cut from that cloth, if that is the case, you are going to experience challenge. You are going to experience adversity. You are going to experience setbacks. You are going to experience dips, multiple. Please take these 3 things that I've learned through my own personal experiences and in helping others navigate their dips, and put them to work, become very conscious of them and put them to work, put them to practice in your own process so that you can continue to become the best version of you and grow the best version of your life and grow the best version of your business. So grateful as always for you guys here on the podcast, for this community that we've built together, for MFM, and for the opportunity I have to be able to serve you, your goals, and your journey. It's an absolute blessing. Have a great day, everybody, and we'll see you back here on the podcast again tomorrow. Or not tomorrow. We'll see you again back here again on the podcast next week. See ya.
Multifamily Mindset.
Podcast. Think bigger.